There you go.
The two most devastating emotions are anxiety and sadness. When you go see a therapist or you go see a psychologist, if they're a good one, they'll explain to you that all fear is related to the future and all sadness is related to the past. Okay? Right from here, you should learn something very deep and very simple. If I'm not in the future, I won't be scared. And if not in the past, I won't be sad. Imagine what your life would be if you were never scared or sad. How you would be unlocked. How many things you'd be able to achieve in your life. How many things does fear and sadness get in the way of those things? Right? In psychology, they'll try to prove to you and substantiate to you the fact that there really is nothing but present moments. I learned this when I was in social work school, which was a big eye-opener for me at the time. We're going to go to Rabbi Nachman after, and we're going to go much deeper than that. But essentially, every moment of your life has been a present moment, right? You're eating an onion ring right now. I will videotape you and send it to your future wife, Bezrat Hashem, so you could see how you look when you're eating, okay? Now, in reality, if someone said to you, what did your plate look like 5 minutes ago, you would think you're talking about the past. But the truth is, every single moment of your life has been a present moment. You weren't in the past when you started eating the onion ring, that was the present. And Bezrat Hashem, if we get to the future in 5 minutes from now, that won't be the future, that'll be the present. So really, there is no such thing as the past and the future. There's just a series of present moments. So now comes Rabbi Nachman to flip you on your head and say something unbelievable. So now, do you know why it causes you sadness and anxiety to think about the future and the past? Because they're lies. And Rabbi Nachman says that anything that's a lie that you think about will disturb you, will confuse you.
How about whenever it comes to children? It's different, no?
Okay, but we're talking for us right now.
For personal.
Yeah. Because lies are the opposite of the revelation of God. The revelation of God is the truth. The Midrash says that Hashem's stamp is truth. If you want to see where Hashem is, it has to be where the truth is. Hashem is the source of all blessing. He's the source of all good. He's the source of all joy. He's the source of all love. The source of unity. The source of peace. Right? So He's the truth. Comes Rabbi Nachman to say, that means that if you're thinking about the future or the past, so you're thinking about lies. There's no such thing. That's why Rabbi Nachman says, whatever happened, just start over. How do you just start over? My parents got into a huge fight with me. They made me feel really bad about myself. Right? This girl that I was interested in, she just dumped me. All these different things that are, I made certain errors, mistakes that I've been working on. It didn't work out. I'm not going to get explicit since I guess we're getting videotaped. If it wasn't, you guys know what you do in your rooms. And everybody's like, okay, so how do you move on? Most people, the nature of a person is going to be, well, I can't put tefillin on now. I just literally did the thing that I've been working on not doing for weeks, for months, for years. How am I going to put tefillin on? Rabbi Nachman's like, what does one thing have to do with the next thing? What does me putting on tefillin right now have to do with what I did 1 moment ago? There's no relationship with the last moment to this moment. When the Arizal is teaching that there are revelations of Hashem's names and it's changing at every moment, different configurations of the letters of Hashem's names, the Sfirot, it's always brand new. So there literally is no connection between this moment and the last moment. Rabbi Nachman said that the one thing that unites all tzaddikim in history, whether they were Ashkenazim, whether they were Sephardi, whether they were Hasidic masters, whether they were Kabbalists, there's one thing that was similar about all of them. He said none of them ever thought about tomorrow or yesterday. Okay. Have a good night, guys. See you. No, I'm just kidding. It was great being with you. I have to go to the club, hang out with some real friends over there. Okay, so that's really important, right? You want to be scared all the time? I have an anxiety disorder. It's not fun, right? You want to be sad? I have more depressive episodes on my fingers and toes than you could count with your limbs. So I don't want to be sad anymore. But I also want to be locked into something real. What's real? Right now. Right now. What you have is right now. So that being said, I'd like to sing with you guys a little bit, just to loosen up the lobes, the lungs, try to get into a higher state of consciousness. You know, I'm sure Abraham's going to start screaming at the top of his lungs in a few minutes. That's what I'm hoping for. The Gemara says that when you start a shiur, you should tell a joke. Unfortunately, I'm not so funny. Plus, I'm Ashkenazi, so you guys don't appreciate my humor. So, it worked. Got you. Okay. So I think we'll just sing instead. Okay, you ready to follow with me? Orech yamim asbiyehu v'yarehu Yeshuati. Orech yamim asbiyehu v'yarehu Yeshuati. Orech yamim asbiyehu v'yarehu Yeshuati. Orech yamim asbiyehu. Feels good, right? Okay, Judaism can be fun. Thank God.
All gotta stop at the same time.
Yes, that was really good. I actually paid everybody. You didn't realize I spoke to them before the class to get like a real good this space. Okay, so listen. The Baal Tanya says it's important to live with the times. So we're in Adar right now. The Gemara says when Adar comes in, we got to go up in Simcha. So I want to just say this is important. It doesn't say you should become happy now. It says you should go up in happiness. So what's mashma? What's implicit in that? They're assuming you're already happy. Because the Gemara says that the Shekhinah only rests on a person who's happy. So obviously the Torah is going to assume that you're always happy. Rabbi Nachman says it's a mitzvah gedola to be happy. Always. Adar, we got to kick it up a notch though. We got to bring it up. So what is there to be happy about in Adar? What's so special about Adar? We know Moshe Rabbeinu
So last month of the year.
was, last month of the year, we're going to talk about that. Last month of the year, it's the culmination.
Right.
Moshe Rabbeinu was born in this month. On the 7th of Adar, it's coming up. I wish I was with you guys for the Hilula. You guys know how to do those things well.
You know if it was for the first or the second Adar?
There's different opinions about whether Moshe was from the first or the second Adar. The most consensus that I saw is actually from the first. Okay? Moshe was born on the 7th, and he passed away on the 7th.
Oh, wow.
Purim is on the 14th, and in Yerushalayim they celebrated on the 15th. The Noam Elimelech passed away on the 21st, and Adar is the end, and it's also the beginning. Okay? I want to tell you a story of the Baal Shem Tov, and with this, Bezrat Hashem, we'll be able to really appreciate what is Purim. Okay? If you've heard this story, it's good to hear the story again. If you haven't heard this story, it's good to hear this story for the first time. Somebody once said that if you believe all of the stories of the Baal Shem Tov, then you're a fool. And if you deny any of the stories of the Baal Shem Tov, then you're an apikorsis. Okay? So I'd rather err on the side of caution on this one. Rabbi Nachman said it would be better to be a fool that believes in everything than to be so smart that you don't believe in anything. Why? Because he said at least then the truth is in there. Right? If you believe in everything, you're so gullible, you're so foolish. But if you believe in everything, the truth must be in the everything. But if I'm so smart and sophisticated that I become an atheist like David Kalmus for 28 years, so in that case, you're the stupidest person in the world. Good? So you guys want to be foolish with me for tonight? Okay. So, the Baal Shem Tov says, it was a story, right before he passed away, he gathered all his Hasidim. And he told each of them their particular mission in their lifetime. It was amazing. Can you imagine that? We're all like stumbling, bumbling around, picking our nose. We don't even know what we're doing. We're having trouble getting up in the morning. Can you imagine that Sadiq just comes and is like, Avraham, this is exactly what you're here for. Like literally, everything would go away. You stop being worried about your zivug. You stop being worried about how much money you make. You stop being worried about everything. If you know why you're here and you know your mission, everything else goes away. And that's what it is to be a chassid. You're on a mission. Okay? One of his followers, who was a tremendous Talmid Chacham, he was a tremendous genius in Torah, he told him that his mission was, after the Baal Shem Tov passed away, he should go to different cities across Europe and simply tell stories about moi, myself. So his chassid was like, really? That's what I'm going to do? That's what you want from me? You don't want me to write books, you don't want me to like learn day and night and give it over? No, I want you to go tell stories about me. How am I going to be able to support myself? Don't worry, these are going to be in demand. Everyone's going to want to hear these bad boys. So what happened? Baal Shem passed away. His neshama should have an aliyah. We're all here in merit of him, the emet. We're alive in merit of him. Rabbi Nachman came to this world because of him. And just on a side note, just so I don't forget, I know it's going off on a tangent, but it's just so chazak. The Baal Shem Tov had a nephew, grandson. It was Rabbi Nachman's mother's name was Fega, and his mother's brother's name was Baruch. He was actually a huge tzaddik, and he was one of the great original Hasidic masters. He was like the antithesis of Rabbi Nachman in the sense that he was stone cold serious. There's a famous story about him with Rav Levi Berdichev, and Rav Levi was really excited because Rav Baruch was such a big tzaddik, so he asked Rav Baruch when he was a kid, can I come to your house for Shabbos? And he's like, no. And he said, why? He said, I heard all about you. You're not coming over for Shabbos. There's no way. And he said, no. I'm going to be totally cool, totally chill, man. It's going to be awesome. He turned into a 70s hippie. I don't know how that happened, but okay. So he pretty much begged him until he forced Rav Baruch to admit to let him come. He promised him he would be cool. He gets to the table, and they bring out the challah, they bring out the wine, and he's just sitting there. Rav Baruch is nervous. He's like biting his nails, waiting for something to happen. He's chilling, and then all of a sudden, the Rav Baruch's wife comes out and said, "Would you like fish?" And he said, "Would I like fish? Would I like fish?" I love Hashem! And he flipped the table. And my Baruch's sitting there like, you little... Okay, so one time, Rav Baruch was by the Baal Shem Tov's kever after he passed away, his grandfather's kever, and he was crying there. And they asked him why he was crying. And he said, because the Baal Shem Tov used to always be here when I came to the kever. And for years, he hasn't been here. So we were like, oh my gosh, what do you mean he hasn't been here? Where is he? He said he's with my nephew. He's with Rebbe Nachman now. He's not in the kever anymore. He's with Rabbeinu when he was a little child. Someone communicated to him. I don't know if it was in a dream or was it another tzaddik, what it was. But the Baal Shem Tov is with Rebbe Nachman right now. So we're all here because of Rabbeinu. And so Baruch Hashem. So here's the story of the Baal Shem. He told Rav Yaakov, I want you to tell stories about me. The Baal Shem passes away, and he starts going around telling stories. Obviously, as you can imagine, it was not so easy to make an income this way, to support his family this way. One day he hears that there is a very wealthy Bukharian Jew. No, I'm just kidding. There was a very wealthy Turkish man, Turkish Jew, who pays 10 rubles for one story of the Baal Shem Tov. Back then, 10 rubles was a lot of money. So he's thinking to himself, well listen, I'm dirt poor, and all I do is tell stories of my master, the Baal Shem Tov. Why don't I actually just make some money off of this thing? This guy wants to hear him. I want to tell them. He's willing to pay top dollar for this. So let me go to Turkey, and I'll stop living like a pauper. So he travels all the way to Turkey, and the person who is living in this mansion, he hears about this storyteller, the Baal Shem Tov, one of the main Talmidim of the Baal Shem. He's going to be here. So he's super excited. When he comes in, he goes out and warmly greets him. He brings him into his house. It was Thursday night. So he was so tired. And he said, the student said, listen, I can't tell you a story tonight because I'm dead tired, but if I just get a good night's sleep, tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, Friday, I'll feel rested. I'll tell you a great story of the Baal Shem Tov. He wakes up the next morning, and something weird. I don't know if Shabbos was coming in too quick or it was a little stressful. He never had a chance to tell a story of the Baal Shem. So he said, okay, Shabbos is coming, Friday night. I'll tell a story in front of his family and whoever he has over Friday night. Friday night happens, and he calls him up to the head of the table, and he says, tell us the story of the Baal Shem. So his student Yaakov gets up to speak, and even though he knows thousands of stories firsthand of his master, the Baal Shem Tov, he spends every day since his master passed away telling and talking only about his Rebbe. And yet when he went in front of everybody and he said, can you tell us any story about the Baal Shem? He couldn't remember anything. So he's embarrassed, obviously. He's standing there, he's in front of all these people. This guy's going to pay him a lot of money to tell a story. He can't think of one. So after a while, he's like, you know what? Maybe someone else should tell another story first. He tried to coolly, let's see what you guys think about the Baal Shem verse, and then Bezrat Hashem will come back to me. Eventually, the host realized something wasn't clicking. So he said, you know what, tomorrow you tell. We have a Shabbat meal tomorrow. We'll have a lot of people over. Good. He goes to sleep. He's thinking to himself, I don't know, maybe I'm just overtired, all the traveling. Same thing happens for lunch. Second meal, can't remember anything. Third meal, figures, okay, this is my last chance. I can't remember anything. So Shabbat's over now. And he literally feels so bad about himself. How can I now remember one story about the Baal Shem Tov? I can't remember anything about him. So he's leaving the house downtrodden with his head down. The Turkish man felt bad for him. He said, don't worry, I'm still going to give you money. But he felt so bad about himself. This was my opportunity to show everybody how great my Rebbe was, and I can't do it. As he's getting on the horse and buggy, a story popped into his head. And he said, wait, I just remembered a story. So the Turkish man goes, are you serious? And he said, yeah. He goes, do you still want to hear one? He goes, get off the freaking carriage and tell me the story. Let's go. Of course I want to hear it. So he goes, and you know what? I want to tell you something amazing. This story that just popped in my head, and nobody knows this story. I've never told this story before. So you're a connoisseur of these things. You're like tasting every wine bottle of the Baal Shem. You can't wait for this story. This is going to be amazing. This is going to rock your world. So he tells him the story. When the Baal Shem Tov was alive, one day before Pesach time, he told his 10 main students to come with him. They're going to travel somewhere. Now, anybody who knows a Hasidic master, you don't ask questions. You have a family? Don't worry, it's going to take care of itself. The Chag's coming up, you're preparing for Pesach. I don't know where I'm going, doesn't matter. The Baal Shem told me something, let's do it. 10 students gets on the wagon and they just start traveling, they don't know where they're going. All of a sudden they end up in a very dungy, black neighborhood where it seems like everyone there is non-Jews. They get to this neighborhood and there's like this middle part of the neighborhood, which is a big space, and there are these huge crosses hanging up everywhere. So they're thinking to themselves, like, where is the Baal Shem Tov taking us? Maybe this is a mistake, maybe this is on the way to somewhere. If anybody's been to other countries, so you know that Jews always lived in Jewish quarters. Wherever we were in Europe or in Spain, in different places that we have been living in exile, Jews were not allowed to live with non-Jews, right? Just like in the times of Mitzrayim, where the Mitzrayim said we can't fathom living with these people. They had to live in Goshen. So that's been happening for thousands of years. There was a street, it was called the Street of the Jews, and that's where the Jews lived. Now, that time that they were going was around Pesach time. For anybody who doesn't know, Be'ezrat Hashem, there is a Christian holiday called Easter. You know, the bunny and the candy and the eggs, right? Obviously, I just encapsulated the entire holiday for you. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything about Easter. But it's a big holiday by them. It was so big, and people don't know this, but for most Christian holidays throughout their 2,000-year history, they used it as an opportunity to lynch a Jew in front of everybody, to hang them up on a cross and to light them on fire or to torture them publicly. They would all laugh and joke and mock this Jew who was getting killed for no reason. Nobody speaks about those things, obviously. But that was the situation now. Easter's coming because it's around the time of Pesach, right? It was the last meal, really, for Yeshka. I guess it was just Passover by him. And they're on the Street of the Jews, and the Baal Shem Tov knocks on the door. One person's door. No response. And the Baal Shem Tov knocks harder. And this old woman says, "Are you trying to get me killed? Get out of here." So the Baal Shem Tov knocks again and says, "You have to let us in." So she's worried now, probably like half for them and also for her life. So she opens the door, she lets them in, and she goes, "Why are you guys here now? Don't you guys know it's Easter today?" Literally, they're looking for one Jew that they find on the street. Whoever they find, they're going to lynch in front of everybody. They do this every year on Easter. "Why are you here now? You're going to get me killed." So the Baal Shem Tov said, "I need to go to your room upstairs." Can I just go up there? She's like, "Why?" He goes, "Just, I don't know how to explain it to you, but just let me just go upstairs." And the students don't ask any questions. So she's terrified of who is this person, what's going on right now. But he barges up to this upstairs room, and they have a big window, and it's covered by a drape. He swings open the drape, and you get a bird's eye view of that middle portion of the city where they do this whole procession. And the woman starts screaming, "What are you doing? You're going to get us killed. They're going to see us. We're going to be the ones." The Baal Shem Tov said to his student, Yaakov, "I want you to go to the front of the procession. You're going to see a bishop there. He's going to be decked up in like garb like the Kohen Gadol. And I want you to tell him that the Baal Shem Tov wants to speak to him." So the student doesn't ask any questions. He starts to leave, and the woman's like, "Do not go out there. I promise you, if they see you, you're going to be the one that they kill." The Rebbe said it. He goes out. He starts going. He's in full Hasidic garb. He's walking up to the front of the procession. The bishop is just about to start the thing. And he tugs on the bishop's dress, whatever he's wearing. Whatever creepy clothes they used to wear. And he said to the bishop's looking at him like he wants to kill him. He goes, what do you want? He said, Yisrael ben Eliezer wants to speak to you. And his face went pale. And he said back to him, tell him I'll talk to him after. And he goes, okay, good. I did what I needed to do. I did my mission. This was my shliach. I went out. I asked the guy, I'm going back. Nobody lynched me. Thank God. This nightmare is over. He walks back in the house, goes back in, tells the Baal Shem what happened. And the Baal Shem gets angry. And he said, go back to the bishop right now and tell him that the Baal Shem Tov said, I want to speak to you right now. This is in front of thousands of non-Jews watching as he's giving his whole sermon, as they're waiting to get their hands on that juicy Jew to lynch in front of everybody. And he's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I'm going back a second time. The woman's like, I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest mistake you're ever making in your life. You're going to get killed. He goes back to the bishop and he says, the Baal Shem Tov says he wants to speak to you right now. The bishop said 1 second. He gets somebody to take his place. Somebody gets in the goofy clothes that he wears. He goes in the back. He follows him back to this woman's house, the bishop. He proceeds to spend the next 3 hours in a room alone with the Baal Shem. The Baal Shem Tov comes out after, and the guy, nobody sees him ever again. Not as a bishop, not as nothing. Right, as soon as the Baal Shem Tov gets out of the room, he says, let's go home. They don't ask any questions, they're going back. That's the end of the story. As this storyteller is telling the Turkish man this story that nobody's ever heard before, the Turkish man starts bawling, crying like a baby. And he said, yeah, the story is Gavalt, but why are you crying? He said, I'm the bishop. The Baal Shem Tov told me, he took me in a room and he told me, you're a Jew. And he said, I started to have all of these pangs of thinking about all these innocent Jewish people that I've killed in my life, how many people I've hurt, and I just wanted to die right there. And he said, but what's the point anymore? Hashem's never going to forgive me. So the Baal Shem Tov said, if you stop doing what you're doing now, and you spend the rest of your life in seclusion being a good person, Hashem will forgive you. And he said, well, how am I going to know that Hashem forgives me? Right? How many of us know we've done certain things like, okay, it's great. Yeah, Hashem forgives. He's very forgiving. But how do I really know he did? I don't know. So the Baal Shem Tov said, when you hear your story, you'll know Hashem forgave you. And he said, and now I know that Hashem forgave me.
So someone else tells your story. Wow.
Wait, say that again.
Somebody else tells your story.
So that's what I want to tell you guys. What's Purim? What's Megillat Esther? The word Esther means hidden. It comes from the word Hester, like the pasuk, Esther, Esther Panai. On that day, Bayomahu, right? You guys all know the song. Esther comes from that word, which means completely hidden. Megillah comes from the word Gilui, which means revealed. Megillat Esther is to reveal that which is hidden. What is that which is hidden, which is revealed on Purim? It's your story. What do you learn from this story of the Baal Shem Tov? One thing is that if someone simply tells you your story, you heal. Doesn't matter what you've been through in your life. It doesn't matter what you're going through. As soon as someone opens up and tells you, here's your story, you heal. And on Purim, we're all going to hear our story. Kabbalah, they explain, just like Adar is the last month of the year, Nisan's the beginning of the year, so too, all of history is corresponding to that calendar. So therefore, the beginning of history is Nisan, and the end of history is Adar. This final generation that we're living in, according to the Kabbalists, is exactly corresponding to Purim. Jews are in exile, living in a completely non-Jewish place, having parties with non-Jewish people, eating non-kosher food. It's the same thing. And what's this main theme that's throughout the whole Purim story? Your identity is in exile. You have no idea who you are. Esther is the queen of the Jewish people. She is the greatest Jewish woman in the world, and nobody knows she's Jewish. Not even herself. She needs Mordechai to raise her. In Chazal, they explain that even though Pshat is that he's her uncle, Chazal explain very clearly that he's actually her husband. They're married. And the term which says that he raised her, it actually comes from the word uman. Emunah. He raised her, and that word is the same word for faith. What did he do? He illuminated her belief. Her belief in Hashem, her belief in the Torah, her belief in Tzaddikim, and her belief in herself, that she's a Jew. Rabbi Nachman says explicitly in the Likutei Moharan, the reason why it's called Megillat Esther, not Megillat Mordechai, is because Esther is the Goel. Esther is the main redeemer of the Jewish people. It's fascinating, right? You would think it's Mordechai. He's the Tzaddik Emet. The Arizal says he was a reincarnation of Moshe Rabbeinu. But it's not Mordechai who saves the Jewish people. It's Esther. This person who, when anybody saw her, they thought that she was part of them. When the Bukharians saw her, they said, come, let's have some bash, let's have some plov. They thought she was Bukharian, right? When she saw the Persians, they said, come, let's have some burnt rice. This is getting very racist right now, but essentially, everyone who saw her thought that she was part of them. It's not that she didn't have an identity, right? She didn't know who she was. She so didn't have an identity that literally she was like a chameleon. Wherever she went, they thought she was them.
She fit in.
Fit in completely. How much of us can we relate to that? That we're going from place to place trying to fit in.
That's because she wanted to have an identity.
What do you mean?
Because she wasn't raised with any parents. So she really wanted that. So that's why she was able to actually have it in the most
Very good.
possible.
Now, how many of you, even though you have parents, maybe you didn't grow up with spiritual parents? How many people in our lives, like how many of us, were like Avram Avinu, and we just started the whole thing from the beginning? So that's like, we're like Esther, we're an orphan. And we completely, like a chameleon, we just fit into the culture, right? I grew up in Marlborough. How do you think I dressed? Like an Italian. What do you think I did? I went to the beach, I got tan, I did gym, I did laundry, Mike. Same gym as me, baby. It was awesome. But that was the weirdest thing ever, because I'm not Italian, I'm a Jew. Can you imagine if I would have went down that road? I would have been 40 years old and that creepy guy in the club, it's like, that would have been the worst possible. If you played out my life 1,000 times, that's the worst version of it. But really at 40 years old, I could be teaching Torah all across the world. But you need Mordechai. You need someone to raise you. You need someone to make you believe in yourself. You need someone to make you realize that you're a Jew. And you should be proud of it, right? Mordechai told Esther, you have to tell Achashverosh that you're Jewish. She said, there's no way, he's going to kill me. Right? Listen to what Mordechai said to her. If you don't do this, anyone can do this. Can you imagine? You're at work and your boss says to you, listen, I have the most important job for you. If you do this thing, you're going to take our business to a whole new level. But if you don't do this, anyone on the street can do this thing. Are you going to be motivated to do that? You're going to be yoked about that? Wow, I can't wait. I'm getting up in the morning. Any freaking person in the world can do what I'm about to do. Yes, let's go for it. No! So what are you learning from this? We don't have a choice about if the Jewish people are going to get saved. Mashiach is coming, Geula is coming, we're going to be back in Israel, Bezrat Hashem soon, the Beit HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt, we're going to be like one man with one heart. We don't have a choice in that. The only choice is, do you want to be Esther or you want to be Hester? Do you want to be the hero? Or chas v'shalom, you want to be the villain? You don't have a choice about whether we're saved. It's just, do you want to be the main character or you want to be a prop? You got any props? See those flowers? They're pretty nice. But they're just a prop. Hashem is giving all of us right now an opportunity to be Esther. To reveal to everyone else, and most importantly to ourselves, that we're Jewish. To be proud of it. To feel good about it. Just like when people are on a sports team. I rep my gear, I rep my team, this is my brothers, this is my clan, this is my whatever. When was the last time you felt so proud that you're a Jew? You just want to show people, you want to tell people, you want to get those payas out and start twirling them in front of everybody. Yeah? Or it's like, okay, I got my kippah, but I'm going into work, let me just put this back a little bit. I don't want to wear clothes like Jews, I'm going to look Amish, that's weird. You know, I'd rather look like everybody else. But you could be the hero. And everyone needs the hero. We're all waiting for him. Right? Who's to say who it is? Nobody knows who it is. There's a story of the rabbi's son, Rabbi Nachman's 13 stories. A beautiful little story. And I've been thinking a lot about that story recently. I did it with my son. I want to tell you, by the way, this is a huge, huge thought. You show me one person in the world who's been able to create something that every single age group enjoys equally. A 6-year-old, a 33-year-old, a 70-year-old, a 90-year-old. Everybody can read Rabbi Nachman's stories and have an equal nachat. Do you know anything else like that you and your kid actually both enjoy? Right? Sometimes when I do things with my kids, it's because I want them to be happy. I don't actually enjoy what they're doing.